life the world that is under the sea. These days people die prematurely, most accident are human sacrifice. These deaths are not in the will of God because they are human sacrifice. In truth every man on the earth has a number of years that the Lord gave him to live. God does not reduce people years, except when we persist in sin, but he extend people years. But the enemy has built unseen kingdom with fallen angels. He want to populate with human and as well as demon. There are daily sacrifice, weekly sacrifice, monthly sacrifice and yearly sacrifice. In fact every country on the earth offer a specific number of people in sacrifice to the devil every year. This is regarded as taxes paid to the kingdom of Satan. These victims that die prematurely in accident and natural disaster become slaves in the spirit world. These people whose lives are interrupted because of human sacrifice are enrolled in the army of Lucifer, and they become like demon at the service of the devil, until they reach the numbers of the years allocated to them by God. The abode of the dead does not receive people who die before their time, and these wandering spirits are integrated in the army of Lucifer. My cousin was a businessman and he offered me as a human sacrifice in order to advance his business. I died prematurely and I was enrolled in the army of Lucifer. I was trained to function like a demon, and for 3 years I worked for the enemy. I was turned to a demon by the goddess of love after being enrolled in the army of Satan. I became effectively a demon, for I reached a level where mystic and Satanist were invoking and summoning me, and I was manifesting in order to solve their problem and then disappear. I died of sickness and was buried, and the agents of Satan came in the night to get me out of my grave back to consciousness, where I did not even spend a day in that coffin. On that day my cousin who offered me as a sacrifice to Satan for his business came with my executioners. I was led to slaves market where they were holding slaves transaction and selling human being victim of human sacrifice. I was tortured badly by my cousin. In the slave market I was undressed and given a black short that hid a number. This became my identity and I was never able to remove this short that was my identity. In this place all the slaves that had died of witchcraft human sacrifice had chains on the feet and hand and we were tormented 3 times a day. It is unbearable to die in the hand of the witches. These slaves only got some relief when satanic entrepreneurs and businessmen came from Earth to buy them in order to use them as workers in their company and corporation. The many company and world today have employees that are not ordinary human but revenant and slaves that have died of human sacrifice and sold to company and corporation. I found many victims in this slaves market who were desperate to be sold because of the torment we were undergoing in this place. One day people came from the world of men to buy slaves and I was sold to these entrepreneurs in order to go serve them. When I began to work in this superstore I was still a slave in little short and bare chest. I was not washing nor changing my short nor cutting my hair, but my employee and customers saw me with another face and another attire. Often people that I knew before I died came to buy in my shop and I was able to recognize them, but they were not able to recognize me because they perceived me differently. Others saw me as a Caucasian, others saw me as someone who came from another African country, others saw me as Indian, but I was able to recognize them. People died because of witchcraft sacrifice and sold as a slave and are given new appearance and new identity before they are sent to work. I was a pupil in secondary school when my days were interrupted. I had no idea how to drive a car or a bike or a motorbike, but when we arrived in the world that is beneath the sea, I learned a lot of stuff in terms of scientific science. I was taught to drive a car, a plane, a boat. I was taught information technology. I was also taught music. I was also trained in martial art. We were also taught official protocols, how to walk, talk in public and deal with political leaders. Then we learn esoteric knowledge. Recently people died in a concert in our country. We know it's a human sacrifice. Some people even disappear never to be found. There are human sacrifice where the witch strike the victim with sickness that lead to death. There are sacrifice where people have sudden death like cardiac arrest. This sacrifice pay the celebrity more than the previous one, and the sacrifice where people have gone missing pay more than the previous one. I was sent to a mission in a village and I assumed the appearance of a taxi driver, and I embarked a pupil that I drove to the world of Satan with my car. We were capturing people. I was able to assume the appearance of a woman or child to execute my assignment. During my training in this world of ancient gods, I learned information technology and sport. We were trained to enter the body of people like demon in order to manipulate and influence them to act certain ways. I received the training how to kill a non-Christian person and the training to kill a Christian. We learn to capture people's spirit and kill people mysteriously, and we learn what to do in case we face resistance from Christian. When the training ended, we were regularly called to intervene as reinforcement in different operation of destruction in the world of men. Initially, when I arrived in this mysterious world of fallen angels beneath the water, I got married and had children, and I got a job and getting salary. Later the goddess found us women and married us to ladies of the sea world in a big banquet celebration. Afterward each one of us settled with his wife in his house. These marine ladies had human appearance, but they are sirens. I had 4 children with my wife. Children born from this union of human and siren grow up in short span of time. In fact, after 2 days they will be speaking, and before you know it they are already adult, and the pregnancy of sirens lasts 3 days only. These children are much more powerful than ordinary human being. They are hybrid demons, and when they become adult they are sent in mission to Earth, to build and to open companies, firms and enterprises, and they employ people, and people who are employed in these companies will be potential target of human sacrifice. Beloved, you should pray to work in a normal company, not the one shows are hybrid demons from underwater kingdom. Some of these hybrid demons will open transport company, whether it's a bus company, train company or airline company. They will be sacrificing people through accidents. Other will be sleeping with women, and any woman that sleep with these hybrids demons will die after some time. Other will be charitable, giving people money, but the moment you take his money he will steal your star. The kingdom beneath the sea is just like Earth, but the difference is that their cities are futuristic, technologically advanced and computerized. They are built in precious stones. One day an incident happened. The marine kingdom used 3 things to kill human. Actually, when you buy a car or a bike or a motorbike, you may be buying a human being without knowing. When you get on that car or that motorbike or that bike, you may be sitting on another fellow human without knowing. It will require spiritual eyes to see the real nature of these things. These human spirit are captives and slaves of the world of Satan. After serving the world of Satan, they are disposed of on earth in the form of cars, motorcycle or bicycle. This is because the year of their death set by God got closer, and when these victims reach the number of years allocated to them by the Lord, you will see the car and bike have an accident. Lucifer kingdom sent them to earth, and when the day of their dead come, people who drive these car or motorcycle or bike will surely have an accident. There are cars that are human being, but there are also cars that are coffin and human skeleton. I will never envy a car in the boulevard, as a lot of them are coffin, skeleton and human being. There was a man who was already rich and his business was doing fine, but the goddess Jacqueline wanted that man to enter into covenant with the satanic world. She sent me to that man. I turned to an old woman and begged the man for money. When the man gave me his money, I brought that money to the kingdom of darkness and they manipulated it. As a result, this man's business began to collapse and it crumbled. In the end he was completely down, and when this happened we were sent to bewitch the man by injecting in his mind thoughts of resorting to occultism to recover his business. In the end this man resorted to occultism to recover his business and entered into covenant with demons. A man brought his friend to sign a deal with demons. After signing the deal, the man went to visit golden metropolitan cities of the submarine kingdom. He was so amazed and blown away that he refused to go back to Earth. His friend began to beg him to go back to Earth with him, but as he refused to go back to Earth, he stayed in the kingdom of Lucifer. Then his body died on Earth. The moment his body died, he was captured and taken to astral world, in the slave quarter for hard labor. The devil is a liar. He lied to the Satanist that when they died they will live in this kingdom of fallen angel that is the paradise of the fallen ones. But when they died they fall in the place of torment and some become slave doing hard labor. I wanted to remind Christians that items we are using on earth that are popular were used already the kingdom of darkness first, then they ended up here. All the technological invention we are witnessing on Earth are just copy from the civilization beneath sea. People assume that scientists are doing their own research and coming up with these invention and discovery. Let me tell you, I've been living in the marine civilization for 3 years. Scientists travel there to copy existing technology and work to materialize them on Earth with help of demons. Later I will talk about jewelry, clothes, cars, technology. The designers of these things are in covenant with the kingdom of Lucifer. Let me warn those who do deal with the devil. It is obvious that you are receiving goods, money and good treatment from these demons, but I can assure you that the devil and demons are hypocritical, and they don't love humanity. Actually they honor the number of years given to you by God, and you must understand that you will die prematurely unless you repent. The devil will make sure that you are killed before your time, and you will be transported to the unseen world to do hard labor as a slave. And as you approach the end of your life, they will accelerate your suffering. When I was in the kingdom beneath the sea, I knew the year one was supposed to die. The devil and his demons have no love for human. It is only when you come to sign a deal with them that they are kind to you. I remember one day when the goddess of love sent us to Earth, to capture a young boy, that was orphan. Actually, when his parents were alive, they signed a pact with dark power so as to acquire success and wealth. But under the terms and condition of this alliance their offspring was supposed to die in a very specific cage. Over the years they have enriched themselves with the goods of this world, but their children were dying one by one in the predetermined age that was specified in the pact. When this couple became senior and they have aged, they noticed that they are enriched but that they had lost all the children, becoming childless. They felt that this situation was tragic and it is risky to die without leaving any offspring to enjoy and benefit from their wealth after their death. Therefore they decided to have a child that they will not sacrifice. They were ready to go against the terms and conditions of the pact signed with the satanic world. They agreed not to sacrifice their sons as stipulated in the pact signed with Satan's world. For according to this pact all their descendants and the fruits of their bowels had to die in an age predetermined by this diabolical pact. This couple gave birth to a baby boy, and when the boy grew up and reached the predetermined age of death, he was supposed to die, but his parents refused to comply with the request of the evil world of Lucifer. In fact, there were procedures and rituals that this couple had to perform in order to deliver the boy to the devil. They were supposed to perform the ritual by which children had to get sick and then die without suspicion. Since they won't sacrifice their son, the hellish world of Satan warned them they would die unless they sacrifice the child. Despite the warning of evil spirits, this couple chose to die instead of their son. They felt that they were already old, so they have accepted the consequences that will ensure that their son will be able to benefit and enjoy their wealth. Not long after raping the pact of Satan, this boy's mother died. Some time after his funeral, the father of this youngster was declared dead. Right after their death, the extended family took over all the riches that this couple left the boy by force, accusing him of being the witch responsible for the death of her parent. They confiscated all the good and threw the boy in the street. This boy ended up going without shelter. On the other hand, when the father and mother of this boy died prematurely, they were taken to the kingdom of Satan as slaves to do forced labor, until they will reach the number of years that God had given them, and fall in the abode of the dead. From this dimension where they were captive, they saw how the extended family took control of their property and threw their boy in the street. When they saw their son in the street, they started hitting members of the extended family who seized of their property by force. As a result, there were deaths in the family. In the meantime, men of God have taken the responsibility of this boy that was in the street, and they provided him a place to sleep and they sent him to school. During this time his parents did the forced labor into the underwater world of Satan, where they were slaves. One day this couple that became slaves in Satan's world were summoned by legal authorities. Once they arrived, the authorities told them, "It is true that we had to interrupt your life on Earth prematurely because you could not keep the terms and conditions of the alliance we have signed together. You violated the contract, but in truth we didn't need you here. It is your children that we were interested in, because they legally are ours according to the agreements that you signed. Since you signed the contract to give us all your children, we want to inform you that we are in the obligation to take your son who is on the earth, as stipulated by the pact you signed. Well, this couple tried to plead to the judges of the kingdom of Satan. They tried to form a legal defense and they pleaded for their son by putting forward arguments, according to which they agreed to die at the place of their son. But the judicial authorities of the submarine kingdom was adamant, for the pact signed by this couple was still in force, and was not cancelled. Therefore their son was to die on earth and become a servant spirit. Then a first team was sent to capture the boy and bring him to the world of Satan, but they failed miserably because this boy was in the hands of men of God. After this failure we were called to take charge of this mission. The goddess of love brought us together and she projected direct image of this young boy on a huge screen. We took time to study and to investigate his life. From direct images projected in the giant screen of the goddess of love, we could see that the boy was living in a church, but he seemed to be miserable because he often thought of his parents. Finally we traveled to the surface world. We had physically landed on the surface of the land precisely in his neighborhoods. Actually we landed on the surface with 3 new jeeps and we took the appearance of businessmen. At this stage we were trained to function like demons. We were able to operate physically on the earth, understand that all men are not natural human beings. After landing in this neighborhood we walked towards the young boy who was within a perimeter of 200 meters. When we saw him we greeted him and we asked him about his father and mother. He began to cry before answering us. Then he tells us, my parents are already dead. We told him, we are friends of your father, we come from Europe to see you because he had helped us travel to Europe. After a friendly chat with this boy we gave him a lot of money, recommending him to no longer live in the church but to rent his own place. Our tactic consisted of removing him from the hand of men of God in the church, so as not to fail like the first team of human spirit who had failed in this mission. And instead of talking about all this to the pastors who took care of him, the boy who was already bewitched ran into town to rent a place of his own, failing to inform leaders that were taking care of him. I would like to point out that while we talked to this boy we had to place invisible barriers in a given perimeter, so that people would no longer pass in this place. Once a man reached this bar he tended to change the direction because this place was supposed to be isolated so we can run our operation without disturbance and interruption of the public. After handing this sum of money to this young boy, we returned to the world underwater. The young boy began to live a life of opulence away from the church and men of God, for we gave him big sums. You can ask me the question to know where did this sum of money come from. It's all illusion and trick. In reality when we came to Earth we were not even well dressed, we were in black short, but we disguised ourselves thanks to manipulation of optical eyes. The jeep that we had parked in the street of the church were just empty cans of sardines already used, that we took in a trash. We commanded them to be transformed. As a result they were seen by ordinary human as car, but in reality they were anything else. Here we are dealing with the manipulation of natural sense and illusion. Natural men's optical eyes perceived these cans of sardines as cars, through manipulation of optical eyes. Thus many cars in the street are coffins, cans and skeletons, but they are seen by the eyes of humans like car. Indeed the spirit world we operate with spoken words and statements. We command things to come in existence through speech. The day of this operation I declared that I would be dressed in black suits and it happened the way I said it. If only the Lord could open the spiritual eyes of his children they would see that I was bare chest and in black short not black suit, and instead of seeing jeep they will have seen cans of sardines already used, for the physical world is a world of illusion, because optical eyes of humans does not fully capture the totality of the realities of things. We must understand that around 90% of the items we use at the surface of the earth comes from the world of Lucifer. I told you that I learned information technology in the marine kingdom. Let me inform you that the greatest scientist in the submarine civilization is Lucifer. He is the one who is at the center of new technologies. Every moment Lucifer is figuring out how to entertain and distract mankind with new media and new technologies. He has invented devices like the computer, the phone and many advanced technology. Lucifer created the limousine that people call Hummer. He started by imagining and thinking this car, then he spoke the word and gave details and clarifications as he wanted. As a result the car appeared. Even houses in the submarine world of Lucifer are built by the word, by faith that we recognize that the world has been formed by the word of God. Many days has passed since we gave the boy this money, and he was enjoying life in the city, abandoning his church and men of God. We were in the underwater world playing drafts, when we remembered the young boy that we gave money, and finally we decided to end the life of this young boy. When we landed on Earth we found the boy drinking and making parties with her friends. After drinking they started to drive. This time we landed on the Earth like invisible spirits, so he couldn't see us. It was while he was driving the car that he bought with our money that we seized the car in question, and we started to pull it. As a result he lost control of the car. He was trying to stop the car but it was not working. Him and his girlfriends were trying to get out of the car but they couldn't, because we have blocked doors and windows. Finally we hit the car on a wall and the young boy died. During his funeral people said he must have resorted to magic because he had become very rich overnight. When he was buried we went to the cemetery at night and we took him out of his coffin. He was amazed to see the 3 people who gave him money pretending to be the friends of his father. Then we took evil shape in front of this young man. We turned into monstrous creatures with long teeth. He could not understand what was happening before him, and so we took this young boy and transported him to the world of Satan underwater. And when we arrived in this kingdom this young boy saw his parents doing forced labor for they were slaves there. All this was like a movie. This boy was enlisted in Satan's army and become a serving spirit that had to undergo scientific and esoteric training before deployment to the earth. Like a demon he will work for Satan until he will reach the number of years affected for him by God. Once we succeeded in this operation there was a party and gifts for us on the part of the siren Jacqueline. The Bible said there will be more joy in the sky for a single sinner who repents. There is also a party in hell when a soul is lost. Let me tell you, there is always a feast in the satanic world for a Christian who is destroyed, then for a 1,000 unbeliever dead. As I told you, the world of Satan is filled with human spirit in the service of the satanic army.